Good morning, friends. Good morning, friends. It's lovely to be here this morning. Let's take a few moments to just settle in to our bodies and to our breath. As we begin to settle in, I'm reminded again over and over and over how deep the relationship can be to our own presence if we just cultivate that. I've talked about this probably too much, but I don't know if there is too much, but at any rate, I'm going to talk about it again, that having spent many years of my life not being able to be present in my own body, whether that looked like using something to take me out of that presence of being, or just simply dissociating. I can't say never. For a very long time, I did not have the sensation that I would be safe. I didn't have the knowledge or the understanding that it would feel okay to be inside of my body. My body felt like a minefield. Do you all remember the game Minesweeper? Spend hours upon hours on your computer just playing this game. And it was always exciting and terrifying at the same time, especially when you first started. You didn't know, and you're just kind of flying blind. That's kind of how it feels. It's a really piss poor analogy, but it just came into my head, so that's what you get. But that's how it feels in my body. It's how it felt in my body for a long time, that I didn't know exactly how to settle down and just be okay with being with me. And that led to this frenetic energy, and I still fall into that way of being. When you cut a groove, it's easy to go back into that groove sometimes. But I notice it now. I notice when I'm not present with myself that I have that kind of sorrow that we have when we miss someone. And I think we call it loneliness sometimes. I think that's where my loneliness is, just sitting here right now, putting that together. The times that I feel lonely are the times that I'm having a difficult time being with myself. And these few breaths, I feel like a morning stretch, when you just climb into your skin and it feels right. And I'm so grateful for that, because it brings up this experience brings up those kind of memories as well. Yeah, you can come on in. Welcome.
Have you already started?
Yeah, we start at 8:30 usually.
I know, we were here, but you weren't here.
Oh, I was probably in the next door. Yeah. That's all right. It's all right. Welcome. You all know where the mats are? No, not a bit. No, I'm actually just kind of getting started with the sit, with the broadcast, and yeah, it's good. It's good. But come on in quietly and have a seat and find your spot. It's good to see you all this morning.
How you doing?
Doing well, brother. Doing well. Okay. So I was just about to invite the bell, so this would be a good time. As we come into our breath and we come into our bodies, welcoming in this space for being with the self, we can settle into a comfortability that maybe wasn't there in our past. We've practiced for a long time not being present with ourselves. I think I have practiced for a long time not being present. And when we get into those places, it becomes easy to go back to that, especially when you start to have a sensation of discomfort or sorrow, confusion, anger, any of these feelings that are difficult feelings to experience. Because difficult feelings oftentimes carry shame as the immediate response. We feel angry and then we feel shame for being angry. Maybe somebody told us when we were young that we're not supposed to be angry. Good boys and girls don't be angry. And so we felt that when this came up for us, we didn't want to be bad because that led to rejection. So we repressed that feeling, and then only so much of that happens before you start really just practicing dissociation. You're just practicing not being present at all. And the same is true for feelings of sadness, for feelings of pain, for feelings of regret. Feelings of grief. They carry with them shame, and if our practice is to shut that out and shut down, we're going to get really good at that. So I'm reminded so regularly, and I was just reminded in this morning's taking a few breaths, sitting down here to take a few breaths, how really just amazing it is to come home, just to come back to my body and come back to my presence of being and come back to a place where I really just appreciate being with myself, just being here. So let's invite the bell and take a few breaths together. And breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly. And release. Breathing in. And release. And breathing in. And letting it go. You know, the practice is repetitive. Because for us to really learn new ways of being, new behaviors, new habits, it takes repeating that thing over and over again. That kind of goes without saying, but it's important that we remember um, when we start getting hit with a barrage of all of these new programs and these new, if you start on Monday, by Thursday, you're going to look like a different person. Like all of these new things that are coming through your Facebook feed or your Instagram, wherever it is you're disappearing into scrolling. That there's always a new method, there's a new diet, there's a new exercise, there's a new religion, there's always something new. And it's just another way of saying you're doing it wrong to yourself over and over and over again. And a lot of that comes from not seeming to get instant gratification or see results right away. But sometimes it actually comes from when we do see results right away, but it's not the results we were hoping for. And so the repeating of the practice of coming back to the breath, the repetition, sitting and saying it aloud, I am breathing in, and then breathing in. I am breathing out. This repetitive practice is a way that we can begin to develop the strength, the muscles needed to carry what is going to be coming up, what is coming up for us. It's the same thing as going to the gym or doing anything else, the more you do it, the more you do it in the same way over and over again, the stronger you become, the more um, intimate you can become with the practice. And say it takes 10,000 hours for an artist to begin to master their craft. 10,000 hours of drawing or painting or acting or singing. But one of the most difficult things to do is to keep coming back to something when you are either not experiencing the shift or experiencing a shift that you don't want. And when I think about it, I practiced exactly that for years. I practiced in my addictions. I practiced, doing that same thing over and over again and not getting the result I want. They talk about that often in the rooms around the tables. They say that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But I don't know if I buy into that wholesale. I don't know, because as I do the same thing over and over again, sometimes I deepen my relationship with that thing. And then the question is this the relationship I want? So as I pick up my phone and I doom scroll, I, I can get really good. I can really create an algorithm for myself that tells me exactly what it is I need to see to inform myself of who I think I am. And I can see the world with one lens so crystal clear, it looks exactly how I thought it would look. Aha. But is that the relationship I want? And then as I come into this morning breath today, I come right back into this place of finding the groove that lets me settle right into my body, and I can feel every bit of that sensation of the breath, and it feels like love, and it feels like acceptance, and it feels like home. And then I remember, yes, this is the relationship I want. So if you're curious why we keep practicing coming back to the breath, that's why. Because the more I come back to that breath and I find and cultivate the relationship with my body, with my breath, with my heart that I would like to cultivate, it's not a practice of cultivating what feels good. It's a practice of cultivating feeling. Because then I don't feel so lonely in my sorrow. I don't feel so lonely in my pain or my regret or my anger, because I'm present with it. So if I can take those breaths and come back into my body and be with those feelings and be okay, it changes everything. And that's the relationship I would like to cultivate. That relationship of being okay with whatever it is I am. So often we find these roles that we play that we think we have to be this thing all the time, that I'm this thing all the time. And then when we're not that thing, it feels like we have failed. So many parents, when their children are no longer children and they grow up and they leave the house or they go off to do something else, or that relationship starts to shift into independent relationships. Uh, so many parents feel a loss of purpose. And then so many people, as we age and we get older, we can't do the same things we used to do. We feel a loss of purpose. And many of us, when our bodies change, and if we get sick or if we get an injury, we can't be the thing we thought we were, and we feel a loss of purpose. And it's when you start to feel that lack of purpose, that lack of reason to be with the self, that lack of identity, that you can start to slip into that dissociation really quickly. But if you can develop the practice of coming back to the breath and finding that place of home inside of yourself, when those identities change, you're still there. When the kids leave the house, you're still there. When you change the job, when you lose the car, when you lose what you think is everything, when the floor falls out from underneath you and you don't think it could get any worse, you're still there. And that's what I'm reminded of this morning in these 3 breaths, that I'm still here. I'm still here. And that's a whole different experience than it was for so long. Talk about abandonment issues. Yeah, I think I abandoned myself at quite a young age because I just didn't know that it was okay to feel what I was feeling. And for some reason, I thought that my sadness would make somebody else sad, or my pain would hurt somebody else, or my anger would make somebody else angry. And so then it just became a series of leaving and leaving and leaving. And you all know the language of that. It's I'm fine. I'm fine. It's the language of I've shut it down. So come back to the breath. I'll invite the bell. Let's take a few breaths and have some silence together. Breathing in. Breathing in. Release. As you breathe in, think, I am coming home. As you breathe out, I have arrived. I am coming home. I have arrived. Thanks for being here this morning, friends. I'm going to go to the poem today. We're on number 47 in Bell Hook's Appalachian Elegy, Poetry in Place. For those who are unfamiliar, we are reading through all 66 parts of this beautiful poem, this love letter to Appalachia, where Bell Hooks was from, the hills of Kentucky, Appalachian Hills. And we're doing one per day. And we're on number 47 today. This is Bell Hook's very personal experience of being in this place, but it's also a very universal invitation to being in any place that we are, finding this place inside of ourselves, which is that practice of finding the breath, is finding our home. And I'm just really appreciating everything that is coming through this poem for us. So we're on number 47. Red beard, strut, strut. Wild turkey congregate, walk in peace. Deciduous woodland undercover, walk to mate, walk to feed. Strut, strut. Iridescent plumage, moving harem, doing a slow dance. Strut, strut. Every morning on my drive in from home to the meditation hall here at Journey Home, there are these families of turkey that are right there. And so when Bell Hooks, when I just started reading this poem, that's what I was picturing 100%, was these wild turkey that are all around us. And I love that it's the repetition of strut, strut. It's like it's reminding me that as we move, to move with this confidence, to move with the knowledge of knowing that you belong. These turkey know they belong. I don't know any animal outside of the human animal that behaves as if they don't belong in the place where they're from, in the place where they are. We've got animals that the migrations are thousands of miles. They come through all different landscapes, all different places, and wherever they are, they exactly belong in that moment. And when that turkey struts, there's nothing like saying, like, this is my place. I am in the place where I'm supposed to be, than strutting. Walk in peace, the poet said. Walk in peace. I think we have this really flawed sense of boundaries, where we think that walls are boundaries, that fences and barbed wire is a boundary, but it's not. It's a block. That's blockades. Boundaries are those places inside of ourselves that we know when we're reaching the edge of what we understand or what we're okay with in this moment, but that's fluid. That's fluid. That changes. And it's within our boundaries that we can find that sense of purpose and being, and we can walk in peace within our personal boundaries. But I think we've convinced ourselves, with all of the walls that we've built, that we are not allowed. We're not allowed to be okay. We're not allowed to be present. We have to hide behind walls. We have to hide behind doors and borders and all of these ways that we've codified division and separation. And we do that outside because we have practiced that so much inside. So today I'm going to move through my practices, breathing and knowing that my breath has no walls. My breath has no boundaries. Even now, just with that thought, as I breathe in and out, it feels larger. So thanks, Bell Hooks, for your poem today. And thank you, friends, for being here. If you're on the broadcast, you can utilize the chat feature and really let's get to know one another a little bit. If you have any questions, you can always send me a message. You can message info@journeyhome.care or journeyhomemeditation@gmail.com, either way, or hit me on the socials. For the folks that are here in the room, does anybody have any questions or anything to remark on the practice today? All right. Well, thanks for being here in the room with me today and taking some breaths and bringing some peace into our world. I appreciate you guys. It's good to see you all again. And thanks everybody for being here for the broadcast. Well, maybe we'll see you tomorrow.